Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Mindset Elevation Coach and Intentional Living Guide, Linda Joy. Beautiful soul, are you yearning for sacred community? Now more than ever, women are being called to gather in sacred circle for connection, community, and transformation. If your soul is shouting yes, and you yearn to come together for live circles twice a month with other women on the path of self-discovery, while also having access to a transformational curriculum of over 50 classes taught by leading visionaries, then you'll feel right at home on the soul-nourishing virtual campus of Inspired Living University. The doors only open a couple times a year, so be sure to get on the wait list at inspiredlivinguniversity.com. I am so excited about today's guest and the topic. Um, when I first received this book, it's called Frequency, The Power of Personal Vibration. I was like, this is what the world needs right now. I loved it so much that I actually was just telling my guest I went and got it as the Audible version, and she's been accompanying me on my daily walks for the last 3 weeks. Joining me today is Penney Peirce, an internationally respected clairvoyant empath, visionary, and pioneer in transformation dynamics, intuition development, expanded perception, and dream work. She trains and advises coaches, business and government leaders, psychologists, scientists, celebrities, and seekers of all types. She's known for her common sense approach to spirituality and the development of expanded human capacities. She is the author of 11 best-selling books, including her transformation series, Frequency, that I just mentioned, as well as Transparency, Leap of Perception, and The Intuitive Way. Penny, I'm so happy to have you here today.
I'm really glad to be here as well.
Well, I swear, honestly, I read your book previously on my journey, and this is your 15th anniversary edition of Frequency. And I know you've added some new stuff in the updated edition. Do you want to tell us what you have in there for your new edition?
Right, right. Well, since it's 15 years and Frequency when I first came out was kind of on the leading edge. It was one of the first, very, very first books on the subject. And now it's advanced so much, and we're getting all kinds of new, I would call them perceptual skills and ways of working with energy. So I wanted to update the book. And I added a whole new chapter at the end to talk about the new things that are starting to happen because of the constantly accelerating frequency on the planet and how we're adapting to it. So there's that, and then I rewrote a new introduction and preface and the front material, and I made 3 new appendices. One where I took all of the exercises that I have throughout the book and put them in one place so people could find them more quickly. And then I took the same thing with at the end of each chapter in Frequency, I have what's a frequency message, which was, it just kind of came through with direct writing. I didn't use my left brain to create it. And they're very beautiful. And especially if you read them slowly or listen slowly. So I took all of those and put them together so they could, people could have a shortcut into those if they wanted. And then I pulled 60 quotes out from the book and made a 3rd appendix so that it could be like a little oracle, just open it and put your finger on a page and there's something that could guide you. So I think it's like 120 pages more than the original classic edition.
And I gotta tell you, I love that section, Appendix 1, right? The exercises, because I do what you just said. It's like, try this one, focus on your heart. This one is flow, compassion, and love through yourself. I love how you broke it up in those quotes as someone that is an avid quote collector. They really speak to me. But also, too, is you have audio downloads.
Yes, we did. I've made recordings of some meditations and read some of the home frequency messages carefully. And those are, I think there are 5 of them that are available for free.
And I wanted to give everyone that overview of because your first book of frequency sold more than 100,000 copies. It was way ahead of its time, my friend. And
Yes.
and now the world needs it even more. So I'm so glad that there's an expanded edition available. And as I was telling Penny before we jumped online, is once I got the book, I was so pulled in that I had to go get it on Audible so she could come with me on my walks and all her wisdom and message. My audience knows, Penny, I'm really big about our energetic vibration, how we can be the change in the world by monitoring our own spiritual energy and vibration. So let's talk about, I'd love to hear how my guest got on this journey. What led you to this work that you're doing in the world?
It was an interesting kind of gradual unfolding process, not something where I got whacked over the head and had a life change. um, but I was very curious about mysteries even in high school, and I read a lot, and then I went into transpersonal psychology, and then into I just read and read and studied. Didn't think I could do anything until I came out to California, and it was kind of at the beginning of a lot of the consciousness movement stuff. And I ended up taking lots of different kinds of classes, and one of them was on clairvoyance development. But I had been a graphic designer and a corporate art director before that, and an interior designer. So I was very visual in terms of, working with symbology and translating visions into form, I guess. So these classes really made sense to me, and I could get an image and a vision very easily. And then I found out it meant something for the other person if I were, sitting there trying to read them. And then I had all kind of visionary dreams that I didn't realize were unusual, but the teacher pointed out to me that those are teaching dreams. Um, so it just kept increasing. I ended up working with scientists at Stanford Research Institute in Palo Alto, and oh gosh, and then I went to Japan and worked there for many, many years, on and off for 20 some years, and things just opened up. It was an amazing process. I didn't try to make it happen. It just So I knew I was on the right path anyway, and everything wove together. All the training I had as a designer was perfect for understanding intuition.
It sounds like you were just being divinely led, and because you kept saying yes to the next step, even though you way, the next step revealed itself. And I think that's part of living an intuitive life. Do you feel that way?
Very much so. I didn't realize I was doing that, but I was just curious, and I liked surprise. I wasn't afraid of anything. It all seemed intriguing to me. So instead of recoiling from something, I would go into it and digest it kind of, and then the next step would open up, or the next stepping stone on the path or whatever. And then I would use, I think, intuition before I really knew it to make decisions about what felt deeply comfortable and just right, not right or wrong. Um, if my body opened up and it felt good and I could imagine doing it really well, I did it. And others, I would hesitate or make an excuse or somehow not do it. And I still do that. You know, it is a kind of way of moving forward in life and trusting the flow, which I have
That
learned to do very much now.
in letting go of control, right? Because I don't know about you, but I'm a recovering micromanager of the divine.
Right. Yeah.
And I used to want to say, okay, I'll follow my intuition, but I need you to show me steps A through Z in complete outline form with bullets, and then I'll move forward. And of course, the divine, our source, our intuition is up there going, girl, just get to point B and I will give you point C.
Exactly.
But for
Yes.
many years, from my own story and journey, it didn't feel comfortable. So I love what you said, that you were always curious. And I think that's a big part, right? Being open to seeing what happens. So I love that you use that word curious.
Yeah. And I think also I'm a double Leo. So maybe part of it was that I was focused on self or, I want to be comfortable. I want to enjoy and be authentic in what I'm doing. I want to be honest about what I'm doing. And that propelled me a lot. And I did things not to make other people happy all the time, but to do my thing first. And then my thing was to help others, but it built and built over time. And then
Yeah.
it
So
kind of becomes the same thing in the end, whether the self is all in everybody, it's just one thing.
and look where it brought you, right? You're now, well, yeah, and you have been just transforming the lives of so many, raising the consciousness of so many. And I think there's a ripple effect when we follow our intuition and our light and our higher self. We become the light for others. It's like this
Oh,
beautiful
yeah.
ripple effect.
It becomes, well, you're attuning yourself to certain higher frequencies when you do that. And then your body starts to resonate to that level, and the space around you in your field, your aura around you it's like a tuning fork was struck, and then everything starts to resonate to that higher level of consciousness. And that also, when you're letting it out and not being afraid of it, and you're relaxed about it, other people are relaxed around you. And then they can open up to, what is she doing? Or like, how is that happening? Or why does this seem so truthful to me? And things are easier to assimilate for other people. So I think it really works well to be what you think you are, what to not just talk about things, but actually
Yeah.
embody it.
I think that's a beautiful message. And we're going to take our first break. We're going to come back and continue this beautiful conversation. And I want to invite everyone to please visit pennypeirce.com. Penny is Penney, Peirce, Peirce.com. Pennypeirce.com. Grab a copy of Frequency, The Power of Personal Vibration. We'll be back in a moment, my friends.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Inspiration for a Woman's Soul. Aspire Magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery. Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration partners. Claim your Aspire Magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business by tuning in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain. Join me for your light language activation, and let's magnetize and monetize.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. With me today is internationally respected clairvoyant empath and author of numerous books, including Frequency, Penney Peirce. So, Penny, I just love how you shared your journey and how it unfolded as you kept following your curiosity. And what I heard, and I want to make sure it's truth, is there was a sense of trust too, because the unknown can feel scary. It sounds like you trusted that the next step would be revealed, and you just kept putting that step forward. So did you build your relationship with trust, or was that just the essence of how you were wired?
I think it just revealed itself as I went along and embraced the next thing, and then saw that it was good, and it was working, and then it was probably what I needed. I also had an attitude pretty early on about um, looking at everything that happened to me and interpreting it as though it were a dream. Like, what's the hidden message here? What am I trying to say to myself? Which brought me to my whole thing of notice what you're noticing, which is part of my practice. During the night when you're dreaming, and that's why I have several books on dream work, but also during the day, because we are revealing things to ourselves just by the fact that we notice them. Something in us makes us notice something. And that got to be very intriguing for me. So why am I noticing these things and other people aren't? Or
Mm.
and then I'd interpret it. And I'm pretty good at interpretation now. I've been doing it a long time. And I would teach myself that way.
I think that's beautiful. So our dreams is our intuition speaking to us and trying to give it to information to us through signs and symbols.
Through signs and symbols at a certain level, but sometimes it's just a certain kind of direct experience at higher levels. Sometimes it's oh gosh, I don't know, like you have experiences. Like, I used to go to lots of retreats in the mountains or somewhere off where a lot of people were gathering together for learning. And then I realized that these were actually happening on higher planes of existence, that a lot of what I dreamed was actual, but not always in the physical world. So, yeah, I think that everything in your dream is meaningful in some way, even if it's just a kind of daily residue that you're carrying over because you didn't complete it or you didn't like something about the way you did it before and you want to change it now. Um, I look at every single thing now as evolutionary, taking me to where I really want to be, where my soul, and I think I am the soul now. I don't have one like a possession. I'm it. And I'm here in my body as much as I can be. And I'm creating my body, my vehicle, to be able to flow through into the three-dimensional physical world and play here and create here.
I love that. I love how you said that. I am my soul.
Yeah, if you
Soul,
start to talk
soul.
about it that way, it changes your perspective on everything you do.
It does. I felt it energetically in my body as you stated the words. It's not a sense of an ownership energy, right? It's a sense
Right.
of it's a divine energy. It's like sacred energy.
Totally. And when you become the soul and you realize I am the soul, I came in and birthed myself. I created this body and all this pathway. But then once you realize that, you realize, wait a minute, I'm connected to a lot of other souls. The soul frequency connects you to a huge collective of souls, or the collective soul, and I just have gotten so it's one of the symptoms, I think, of advancing frequency is that you start to realize that you are the soul first, and then you are part of a collective consciousness, which I call the we, or the us. And we are helping to engineer my life process, and I'm in it too, doing it as well. And I'm helping other people with theirs at that high level where we all know what each soul needs and wants and how flows can be nudged so that, everybody gets what they need. It's an amazing feat of engineering if you want to think of it that way.
Yeah, I've always seen on my spiritual journey, I've always kind of received like a vision of this beautiful web of interconnectedness with aligned
Yes.
frequency souls, right? And
Yes.
that everyone, the higher our frequency, and I'm blessed. Look, I attracted you, right? So
Yeah.
it's like I noticed when I look back at my life, when my frequency, my personal frequency is being cleared consistently and I'm being conscious of it, that web gets brighter and glows in the all of a sudden divine synchronistic moments, which is the title of the book I just released, happens more and more, and these beautiful aligned souls just flow in. And it's almost like it's all synchronistic. I just have to be who I am. And that's what the energy imprint I get. But I always had that vision of the sparkly web. And I want to make sure that I'm always nurturing the web by being my highest light. That's the best way I can describe what I see. Does it make sense to you?
I see a lot of the same things. That definitely there is a web, and sometimes I see it as when I really focus on my heart and open it into a kind of crystalline diamond light heart. And then I see my heart connected to all the heart points or the center points of anything and everything. All the people's hearts, all the trees' hearts, all the animals' hearts. We're all connected in a heart field. And that, I don't know if things actually travel in a linear fashion along the grid lines, but I think it's almost like everything's in the present moment at that level. And so when you think of something new, it's like you turn on a light switch and the whole grid lights up
Yes.
and everybody gets it, and all you have to do is think of it just as lighting up the whole thing with no amount of extra effort.
Yeah, that's what I see sometimes is the pulsing glowing. It's the best
Mhm.
words I can describe, like the pulsing. I think that's so beautiful, and thank you for sharing that with us. I want to talk about, we still have like 4 minutes before we go to the next break, but this is the second book. You have a series, right? And it's
Right.
the intuitive way, frequency, leap of perception, and then transparency. So how does working with our own personal vibration, and we'll make believe that a lot of the women might not know what that means. I know many of you, my listeners, do because they've been following me for a long time. But how does working with our own personal vibration and frequency dynamics help us on our path to personal transformation? And I know you just shared a little bit about that, but I'd love to dive a little deeper.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think as we get started, the first thing is realizing that we do vibrate and everything vibrates. And we have different emotional states and they vibrate. So when you're depressed, it's a low frequency. And remember that energy and consciousness are like flip sides of the same coin. So when your energy goes down and your frequency goes down, so does your consciousness. And then you'll start to get negative or thinking about polarization and self and other, and I can't have this, and no, nobody's on my side. And um, a lot of negativity. And contraction often also comes along with that. Fear thoughts. You contract in and hold yourself to try to be safe. Those are low frequency feelings and thoughts, and they affect your body and make you sluggish. So everything is connected. But if you raise your frequency, I always think of playing with a puppy or, some scenario that makes me giggle or laugh or feel really joyful and just can't help laughing. Um, and you go into that state, and then you look around at other people and you see they're vulnerable. You don't blame them. You can see why they're being the way they are. There's a good reason in there. And then you can feel compassion for them. Now, they may not be behaving very well on the outside, but their inside selves are very beautiful. And so we can go in there and make connections at that level. And then I think our thoughts rise and we say, well, I understand that person. I see why it is. I can be kind to them. And or the this sometimes we feel threatened by people who are at a lower vibration, like they're going to hurt us or drag us down. But you don't feel threatened anymore either. You get a feeling of I can respect this person. I can feel safe around them. So the higher frequency your energy goes, the more your consciousness rises as well. And that is the first step in transformation, is to realize that when your consciousness expands and your energy expands, you know more and more easily. You get more done. You have more energy that flows in and out. And it's a preferred state. And then as it keeps on going up, where it is almost now on the planet, it's quite high, that there are all kinds of synchronicities and things are happening much more in the present moment. So I'm noticing we're having a lot more instantaneous healings or total shifts all of a sudden. A lot of people, and I myself, have felt that karma has been eclipsed. The things we came in with that we were trying to work out that might have been wounds. We've already moved beyond that consciousness. And we don't need that karma or those old behaviors anymore. And we just drop them like a cape around our back. We just throw it away and it goes off into the field and dissolves. And we're free of it. And it's happening that fast. So part of the transformation then is really getting out of old thinking, especially linear kinds of thinking, like A, B, C, D. Or beginning, middle, end, or here's me and my goal is way over there in the future. But now things are in the present moment with you. So your goal is not separate from you. It's your vision. It's something that if you love it, it comes to you. It wants, like a dog. I always think of it a little bit like a happy dog. It comes to you and wants to be affectionate. And then things materialize.
It feels so empowering, knowing that the whole divine, the whole universe is lined up to support us, especially right now, that, like you said, the consciousness has risen. We're going to take a next break, Penny, and when we come back, I want to have you share a few basics about personal vibration and what they are, and maybe some tips and strategies that come up. And we will be back in a moment, my friends. I'm with Penney Peirce, author of Frequency, the Power of Personal Vibration. You can learn more at pennypeirce.com. We'll be back in a moment.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Times Radio. FM.
Are you feeling called to clear your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual blockages? That's your soul and environment speaking to you and asking you to uncover all the clutter that is preventing you from living the life you envision. Felicia Messina DeHady, soul coaching master practitioner and trainer and teacher of advanced interior alignment and medicine wheel feng shui, supports her international clientele by creating inner and outer transformation in their environments and their lives by combining elements from her extensive training, experience, and intuition. Felicia is a master intuitive coach, certified by Colette Barron-Reed, and has served as a master mentor for Denise Lin's Elemental Space Clearing certification course, as well as her Ultimate Clutter Clearing. Explore her offerings, including certification courses in Feng Shui, space clearing, soul coaching, and Reiki at FeliciaDeHady.com.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
if you could find a way,
To get inside.
each other's mind.
walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in
my
my
shoes.
shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Times Radio. IOM FM.
You're listening to Inspired Conversations. Thanks for circling up with me and my special guest, Penney Peirce, internationally respected clairvoyant empath, visionary, and pioneer in transformation dynamics. So let's go back to basics and talk about what personal vibration and frequency dynamics actually are, so our listeners can almost get a little mini class.
I think one of the most basics, just to continue on from where we were before, is that realizing everything has an inner life that is based on vibration and frequency and the flow of energy. And it can be dense and opaque and almost calcified, and it becomes very slow and negative. Or it gets higher and more open and enjoying the flow and trusting things and then receiving more and then giving more, and it just increases the flow and you become more and more of your true self. So the frequency dynamics, part of that is you have choice. You know, we often start off thinking the outside world, is out there and it's bigger than me, and I can't protect myself from it. It's going to hurt me. And so I have to try to be charming or please everyone or dominate everyone and try to be in control of everything. And all these, methodologies the ego comes up with in order to try to survive. But it's really not like that. When you start to raise your frequency, you see how interconnected everything is, and that there's one energy running through the whole thing, which is soul force or spiritual force. And it really is based in love, which to me is like a certain perfect fit of everything. It goes together, everything supports everything else. It's all based on compassion as an evolutionary force. And so it works effortlessly. And the more you open to these things, you see the signs of this in what you're capable of doing, in how other people respond to you, and how just how really satisfied you are in your own life. So some of these things are, I spoke earlier about notice what you're noticing. Well, you might notice your own inner states of being. Did somebody say something to you and you got all plugged in and depressed and off center because it's something you thought was bad? And do you like feeling that way? And then we ask ourselves this, is this my chosen way of being? No, I prefer this other way of being. So you choose your home frequency. That's what I call it. It's kind of like the soul in the body state, where you feel you like yourself, you're feeling self-entertained, you enjoy all the things around you in life. And, basically it's your point of clarity. When you're in that state, what comes through comes from the soul. And you learn to get the feeling of that state versus a feeling of a yes, but, or something that's conditional. I sort of like it, but if it were this way, I'd like it more. You get the feeling of things being just right and very appropriate, and you expand into them and embrace them. So these are part of frequency dynamics. It's how to make choices, how to move forward, how to modulate your own energies so that you don't waste time by being in negative states. Who benefits from that? Nobody. Jealousy and fear and anxiety. There's actually no point to these. Do you see what I mean? It's like it's wasted time.
And especially the anxiety, as someone that used to, for the first 30 years of my life, I didn't realize I'm 62 now. So in those early years, I lived in a constant state of anxiety. I can see it now. I might not have understood I was there then. But do you know, as I started doing, we'll call it inner frequency work, just my personal energy field, all the anxiety fell away. I'm not saying that I don't have that tendency that sometimes if something happens, I can feel myself head that way, but I have all the tools now to go, is that what you choose in this moment? And of course, the answer is no. But do you feel that when we work on our personal frequency and we really understand it and start living the principles and embodying them, that it really does bring this sense of inner peace and like I feel like I'm always divinely supported by the divine, even when things aren't going right, in my ego mind, if they're not
Right.
going right.
Yeah.
I feel more peaceful than I ever have been, even though, like in my personal circumstances, I mean, my honey had 2 brain surgeries in
Mm,
2019, 20, and
mm.
everyone witnessed me going through it, and they're like, "How are you so peaceful?" I go, I had to think about that. I'm like, "How the hell am I so peaceful right now?" And I was living it, and they could see me embodying it, and I realized I only have control of one thing in my life, and that's my frequency, my personal energy, my personal power. And is that the whole message of your work is to get us to see that we have more power than we believe we do?
Oh, absolutely. And your story there is so accurate that we do have free will to choose how we want to feel or the state of being that we wish to live within. So we want our reality to be created out of this particular state of being, which is a combination of many things. It could be a love of joy, a love of creativity, of helping others, of letting people help you, and beauty and whatever. But those states become primary preferences, let's say. And then the more you do that, the higher your frequency goes. And then you start to have a lot of these so-called supernatural abilities, clairvoyance and knowing things. And I've been calling it this new thing. It's kind of like tactile or kinesthetic um, telepathy, where you don't send a thought. You don't even send. You become a certain state of being, like let's say gratitude.
Mhm.
If you really sink into gratitude, it's a combination of many states of being, all positive. But it's a really deep, profound connectedness and beautiful, beautiful, and so nurturing. And when you sit in that and just extend it out to the world, boy, the world loves this energy, and if you include more and more people in your sphere, and inside your ball is this gratitude state, and that you feel like living in that for a while, well, you're going to get a lot of things coming to you because you're grateful.
Yeah.
And there are many states, and you can choose different ones, but um, there's a certain state where you realize that the higher frequency consciousness is highly functional, much more functional and efficient. And there you go with the left brain, but then other states where you have to work too hard.
I love that you say call it a state because when you were talking about the gratitude, when I was at my lowest point, like 35 years ago, I'm hearing it as a frequency now, but I remember picking up a book, it could have been by Louise Hay. It said, list 5 things you're grateful for. Well, Penny, at
Mhm.
that time, I was like, what the frick? I don't have anything to be grateful. Honestly, so I remember just sitting there trying to do the 5, and I mean, it was really excuse my language, it was a bitch list, right? Because I didn't even
Mhm.
know what gratitude could feel like in my body. But for some reason, that inner calling within me had me stick to it. Within a month, I could not only write them, but I could feel them. And then on the 3rd month, I added a gratitude practice to evening. And at first, it was in my head, like I am grateful for, but I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
You know the feeling. And then it was like, I felt the shift. And once I felt that shift, even though I was still struggling in many areas of my life, I can still remember clearly, like, what was that feeling I just had? It was like expansive and I wanted more of it. And so I kept doing this because I wanted to feel that beauty and that expansiveness. And that's the frequency of gratitude. It was this high vibration that I was actually being able to reach into. I didn't know how to keep it at first, but that's really what frequency is, right? Joy is a frequency, and we
Oh,
have that
yeah.
choice. Like I
Huh.
did, continue the bitch list or find things to be grateful for. Now, every moment I'm grateful. It's been 30 years later. I live from the frequency of gratitude and joy. Those are my two things I love playing and dancing in.
Hmm.
But I think sometimes people don't, they hear gratitude and they're like, yeah, mm-hmm. They don't understand it's one
Well,
of
the
those.
left brain thinks you owe somebody something, then I have to do something. But the state of just being in it, and even the ability to just be for even a few minutes without language, without projecting into the next moment, and just blank kind of, that state of being is so incredibly powerful. I have felt it now. It will actually work on me. And I think when you can just be like that, it erases negativity. It dissolves things you don't need. It's you doing it but you've gotten everything out of the way. You see, the left brain and the busy mind and the monkey mind and all the shoulds, they're all quieted down to zero. And now you're just there being. And that state clears you. But we're too busy multitasking and everything these days, and hyper fragmented. Um, but it's a practice I think we need, and to understand how powerful. It's not a void. Do you know what I mean? It's a very full, deep, quiet, velvety space,
It's
and
beautiful. It's how it feels
it's
in my body. And
yeah, yeah.
we're going to take our final break, Penny, and then we're going to come back and we're going to continue this same conversation because I think it's so powerful. We'll be right back, my friends. I'm with Penney Peirce. Please visit her at pennypeirce.com. We'll be back for the last segment in a moment.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Are you struggling to grow your mission-driven business in a way that feeds your soul and fulfills your purpose? When you discover your unique human design and divine blueprint, you'll feel empowered in your business, aligned with your inner wisdom, and open to the flow of abundance and success. Nancy O'Keefe is a certified human design specialist and intuitive business coach, successfully coaching entrepreneurs for over 25 years. She is passionate about helping you understand your divine design and your personal formula for success. She knows what it takes after creating her own multi-seven-figure firm. Nancy helps women peel back the layers of who they've been taught to be to reveal who they truly are, so they can build an abundant and sustainable business that feeds their soul. Schedule your complimentary call today at nancyokeefecoaching.com.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Free your mind with Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm with Penney Peirce, and right before the break, we were talking about the frequency of gratitude and something you said about the fullness, right? And quieting the busy mind. I feel like it's a recalibration that when I can be in the essence of gratitude, it's almost like recalibrating my system to remove all that sticky stuff that we don't want, right? Whether it's
Right.
a thought or a belief. So I've always considered it like one of my recalibration tools. And something you said too, like, I don't know if you use the word velvety, but now I can feel it with the simple, if a breeze is on my face and I'm taking a moment to actually experience that breeze and that gift. Like
Mm,
in that moment, it's like I can remember a time when I wouldn't have even noticed the breeze. And now I'm
right.
experiencing it as part of me. That's the only way I can describe it.
I love that. Yeah. And you're pointing to something I think is very important when we imagine things and meditate on things, that it's important to make them tactile in some way. So the breeze, a sense of a velvety space or something very supportive and soft, or um, that your body can recognize, because that way it actually grounds and integrates into all of you. If it's just up in the left brain as a word, the body is not in on it and doesn't compute. It's we are so sense oriented that we need to make things sensual as
Yeah, and
part of our practice.
that resonates with me because I'm thinking back to when I started that gratitude practice. It was just, I was so in my linear ego mind, right? This is a task. I must get these 5 things on paper. It was like I was back in school. And of course, I was out of my body. I was out of my heart. And now it's those little things. I live in New England, so hearing the leaves falling, that
Mm.
crunch as I'm taking
Hmm.
my
Oh, yeah.
walks. A couple of weeks ago, Penny, I'll give you an example. I live in the middle of the woods, about a half mile into the woods on a dirt road on a spring-fed pond. So about 3 weeks ago, all the leaves were falling, and I'm going down the road. I get emotional because it was so visceral for me. All of a sudden, the whole road is covered with golden leaves, all around me, golden, golden. And I'm looking at the water and the shimmers. And suddenly, all the little acorns and leaves were falling all around me. And I remember just putting my arms out and watching them fall. And I'm like, I need to feel this whole moment. It was like pure love flowing through me. And then I said, oh, I need to share this. So after I had my moment, I took a video and no sound, and I just posted on social media, say, please take a moment to be fully present and feel this. And I think that's what's missing for so many is like I felt so connected in that moment to everything around me and beyond me because I stopped to experience it, like the energy of it, not just the leaves falling. I don't know if I'm capturing in words what was in my heart, but
Right.
it was sacred to me. I kept the video so I can go back constant to remember in that moment. It was so priceless, beautiful, and I was so grateful for the energy all around me.
Well, it's like the love was just flowing through all the
It
nature.
was.
It was just collected there in this great moment of harmony.
Yeah,
And
and I felt very childlike.
mm,
Like all of a sudden it was, well, I guess that little child in me, like, oh my God. And I'm sure if my neighbors are looking out the window, I'm standing in the middle of our dirt road on a hill, arms wide open, head back, and I was just fully immersed in the moment. They might have been looking out the window like, "Oh, that's Linda. We know we know what she's up to." But it was so sacred to me, and I'm like, "Oh, I want this for everybody. I want everyone to feel that connection to all that is, to connection to everything around them." But more, it was that childlike part of me was remembering the truth of who we all are.
yeah. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, those are like somebody once told me those are like real moments. The kind of thing that's like a light that gets lit and it never goes out, that you remember these things your whole life because they are the separation between the physical and non-physical has collapsed or merged, and you have that real experience of spirit and who we really are. And those kinds of moments are so precious. You can always remember them, you know.
It was
The other
visceral. I will always remember it.
I was going to say too, the other part of the gratitude thing, because I've been writing a new book in the series. I haven't quite finished it yet. It's on money and transformation. And as I got into looking at what money actually is and going down inside of money and thinking about it as an actual entity, I really got in touch with the fact that gratitude and generosity are these two states that are interwoven, interlocked almost. You know, they're part and parcel of each other, and they're so connected in with money or sustenance or anything like that. And but that generosity, I guess what I'm trying to say is gratitude and generosity are states that are so pure that the soul can flow through on them. They don't have a distortion until you get up into the left brain and you get into fear again. But when you go right into them, they're so lovely. And generosity is just a pure act of love. You know, I'd love to have you feel the same way I do. So you made your video, you know, or you made a great kind of cookies or something and you want to have your neighbor feel good about it. And it's not to gain anything, you know, it's, oh gosh, you know, just pure, it's not selfless and it's not self-full. It's, it's something in there. But they are so intertwined, those two states. And if we maybe did nothing but practice that in a more pure way throughout, even just once a day, that could be an interesting practice, you know?
I'll tell you, anytime I feel out of alignment, like when life gets what I call lifey. Oh, yeah. And we all know lifey. So going back and going out in nature for me, I'm blessed to live right in a beautiful area. Going out for nature and feeling grateful for that moment always, always, always recalibrates me no matter what is going on outside. And so for me, that essence of gratitude is what I return to over and over again. And in our last few moments, I want to read something that when I got your book, it's on the back cover, and I think it's a beautiful way to close out everything we're talking about. And on the back cover, ladies, of Frequency, the Power of Personal Vibration, when I received the book, this quote at the top: your personal vibration is powerful because it's the key to transforming yourself from a fear-based, fragmented, reactionary person living in a tight, narrow world to a love and unity-based, soul as the self, human being, living in an expanding, high-frequency, light-based world. And I read that and I like felt that on the deepest part of me because it's how I choose to live. But seeing your words, I was like, this book is for me. I am having her on my show. I just want to say, I am so grateful that we were able to have this time together. I want to invite everyone to go to pennypeirce.com. Check out Frequency as well as the rest of her series of books in the Transformation series. Penny, thank you for being such a bright light in the world and bringing this work to even more people so we can continue elevating the vibration of the world.
Well, thanks for helping get it out into the world. I appreciate talking to you.
I enjoyed that conversation, my friend. And until next time, ladies, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness. Blessings, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.